Have you ever met someone who just, I don't know, radiates a really strong sense of who they are? It's not just what they say, right? It's like their whole presence, the air around them almost. You can feel it.
Hmm.
Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that. This really fascinating connection between our character, the, let's call it, energy we give off, and maybe surprisingly, the power of discipline. Our insights for this are coming from some excerpts we've looked at from Character. The Discipline of Vibration and Self-Mastery, which is written by Mark over at Knowledge is King. And our mission really for this deep dive is to unpack how our inner stuff, our values, our beliefs, how that actually shows up as kind of tangible vibration. And also how discipline, which, let's be honest, often gets misunderstood, is maybe the key to mastering both our character and that energy we put out. So yeah, let's dig in.
Okay, so character. Usually when we define it, we think about someone's identity, right?
Mhm.
Their values, beliefs, behaviors,
Yeah.
how they talk, how they act. That's kind of the standard view.
Right. It's the stuff you see on the surface, how we present ourselves. But this material we're looking at introduces something else, something deeper. It calls it the language of vibration and frequency.
Exactly. And you know that feeling, don't you? When you just sense something about someone's character without them even saying much.
Yeah, totally. Like their posture or just the look in their eye.
Or the tone of their voice, their
Yeah.
general presence. It can leave a really lasting impression. And what's interesting here is the idea that this isn't just, a vague feeling. The argument is that our vibration, our frequency, it's a direct reflection of what's going on inside, our character.
Okay, so it's not just a metaphor then. The core idea is that everything, including us, is literally energy vibrating at different frequencies. And these vibrations aren't just abstract concepts. We actually feel them. We perceive them day to day, like through sound, light, and definitely through emotions. It's positioned as a fundamental thing.
And this has a direct impact on the kind of energy we project. So when our intentions and actions line up with things like honesty, integrity, compassion, our internal vibration, our frequency, it gets elevated. Think of it like a clearer signal, maybe more harmonious. And this doesn't just benefit us. The source talks about a ripple effect of goodness that can actually uplift the people around us.
Right, right. It explains why some people just seem to, like, brighten a room when they walk in. You feel good around them.
That's the idea.
Okay, so that makes sense. You feel better being near people like that. But what about the flip side? What if someone's inner world isn't quite aligned with those positive traits?
Well, then, if someone's operating more from, say, dishonesty or selfishness or just general negativity, that internal vibration is described as becoming low and heavy.
Heavy.
Yeah, and you might actually feel drained around them or maybe just a bit uneasy. The point is, it's not just about bad vibes in a casual sense.
Um,
It's presented as having a real detrimental effect on relationships, on well-being,
Yeah.
like a kind of distorted, muddy signal.
Wow. So what this is really getting at is that our character isn't only the stories we tell or even just the things we do. It's also this fundamental energy we're constantly emitting. It sounds like a real call to be mindful, to consciously choose things like honesty and compassion, not just for ourselves, but because it actually influences the whole energy field around us.
And that leads very naturally to the next big question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If these positive qualities are so important for strong character, for that high vibration, well, how do you actually cultivate them? Because let's face it, it's not always the easiest path. And the answer, according to this deep dive, it really comes down to discipline.
Ah, discipline. Yeah, that word. It definitely carries some baggage, doesn't it? You think strict rules, punishment, no fun, sort of restrictive?
It absolutely can feel that way.
Yeah.
But this material, it offers a really different perspective. It sort of reframes it completely. The argument here is that discipline isn't about being controlled from the outside. It's actually the key to self-mastery, to living a genuinely fulfilling life. It's framed as empowerment, really, not limitation.
Okay, I like that reframing. And there's this phrase in there that really jumped out at me. Choosing discipline over regret. Can you unpack that a bit more? What does that look like in practice?
Well, it's presented as a really fundamental choice we make, often daily. By
What?
actively choosing discipline in our actions, we essentially stop ourselves from making choices we'll look back on and wish we hadn't.
So it's proactive.
Exactly. It's about taking control now, making sure our actions line up with our deeper values, our goals, instead of just, giving in to whatever feels easiest in the moment. There's this idea that our higher self requires discipline, not excuses, to stay true to our character.
Right. Because if you don't make that conscious choice, it feels like things could just drift. You end up reacting all the time instead of intentionally creating.
That's precisely the risk. Without discipline, the source suggests life can become quite chaotic, driven by what it calls lower desires and impulses.
Hmm.
And that path often leads to feeling dissatisfied, unfulfilled. But when we apply discipline, when we order our actions, it creates structure. It creates purpose. It gives you a sense of direction.
It's the difference between being tossed around by the waves and actually steering the boat.
That's a perfect analogy,
Yeah.
steering the boat. And this material explicitly calls self-discipline the bridge between goals and accomplishments.
Ah, okay.
We all have things we aspire to,
Right.
goals we want to reach, but without putting in the consistent, disciplined work. Well, they just stay wishes, don't they? Nice ideas that never quite happen.
And excuses are just so tempting in the moment. Oh, I'm too tired, or I'll start tomorrow. It's just too difficult right now, and they're easy to grab onto.
They are. And that's exactly the danger highlighted here. Excuses give you that immediate relief, but the argument is they actually weaken us over time. They make it easier and easier to justify behavior that isn't really aligned with who we want to be.
Whereas discipline.
Discipline, though harder in the moment, is what strengthens us. It builds that muscle of self-control, determination, perseverance. It's forged through that consistent effort.
Listening to this, it sounds less like a chore, honestly, and more like a really deep form of self-respect.
I think that's a huge part of it. The material actually states, quite boldly, that self-discipline is the highest form of self-respect.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like saying, I value myself, I value my potential, I value what I stand for enough to do the hard things. And interestingly, this self-respect is then described as something that doesn't just stay inside, it radiates from within us and is reflected in our vibration and frequency. So embracing discipline also becomes about choosing not to settle for mediocrity, about really tapping into what you're capable of.
So it all connects back. The inner work, the discipline affects the outer energy, the vibration, and it really boils down to mastering those immediate impulses, doesn't it? We all feel them. The urge to take the easy way out.
We absolutely do. And that's where self-discipline really proves its worth. It gives us the power to master our impulses, to rise above those immediate desires and temptations, and consciously take control. This deep dive is very clear. Our higher self demands discipline, not indulgence. It contrasts that fleeting temporary pleasure with the pursuit of long-term goals and genuine well-being. It's about choosing purpose over momentary gratification.
Which, when you follow that thread, brings us right back to progress and success. And not just like career success, but success in terms of living a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Precisely. The final message is pretty stark, actually. Excuses delay progress, while discipline drives success. Success in this whole context isn't just about luck or talent. It's presented as the outcome of that consistent effort, that focused intention, that deep discipline. It's really the engine for personal growth.
This has definitely given me a new way to think about character. It's really not just what we say or do. It's this palpable energy, this vibration we put out. And it's made it so clear that discipline isn't some rigid cage. It's actually the tool, maybe the most important tool, for refining that energy and achieving, well, self-mastery. Like the source wraps it up. The path to greatness is paved with self-discipline. Powerful stuff.
So, thinking about everything we've just unpacked, maybe just consider this. What's one small area in your own life right now where choosing discipline, just choosing it over making an excuse, could genuinely elevate your character and shift the energy you share with the world? Something to mull over.